Well, President Trump's budget is, among other things, a striking bait and switch that continues to spin us in the direction of a collapse that, by the president's own words, put us on the path to Greece as early as next year.
And I will tell you, we are sitting on a time bomb, and Hillary Clinton doesn't have a clue.
In 2016, Trump promised to get rid of our national debt in 8 years. He said it would be easy.
We pay it back so easily.
How?
It's easy to pay it back.
How? Well, good question. Trump said he could do a lot of things like tax China or take Iraq's oil or make America wealthy again. But instead of getting rid of the debt, since Trump took office, the federal debt has ballooned another $2 trillion to a record $22 trillion. At some point, that will drive our economy into a collapse like Greece. And let's go back to what Trump suggested the point of collapse would be.
You know, I've always heard and read a lot on it and understand it and went to Wharton and all of that stuff. I've always heard that $24 trillion, we become Greece.
In Greece's debt crisis, taxes doubled. 1 in 4 lost their jobs. More than 40% of the country plunged into poverty, and it was bailed out by the European Union. Europe would not likely bail us out if, and more likely when, the time bomb hits us. Our government would have to print much more money, devaluing the money that we do have. In short, it would likely wipe out most Americans' life savings, while their taxes likely double, if not more, while many lose their jobs, while the government can no longer fund services for the needy, while we plunge into a second Great Depression. This is a very real scenario that both parties recognize, but they just keep spending more and more beyond their means, in effect, hastening our demise. The White House, which says its budget now has the most spending reductions ever sent to Congress, also happens to have trillion-plus deficits each of the next 4 years.
Annual deficits are continuing to rise and will exceed $1 trillion a year. And it's projected that interest payments on the national debt will exceed military spending by 2024.
Now, to figure out how to solve this debt crisis, we have to understand how it has continued to worsen under a new president who claimed he could easily solve it.
We have to start chopping that debt down.
Well, first, the president said he needs much more for this, while Congress said only if they get much more for that.
It was a major priority for the president to get military spending this year, which was very critical. And the Democrats required a very large increase in non-military spending to get that over the finish line.
And then they said, well, okay. So they ramped up spending, or the amount of money going out, while slashing taxes, or the amount of money coming in. There were clear red flags from the start.
But there are some serious concerns whether the move could balloon an already out of control federal deficit and then federal debt.
Now, tax cuts can and do promote growth, but the Trump administration claimed these cuts would grow the economy so much they would pay for themselves.
Will get the economy growing more than 3% a year, which they say would pay for everything.
This will pay for itself with growth.
They said 3% growth, and notice how the president kept nudging up the numbers.
And we'll be up to 4 and even 5%.
I think you can go to 5 or 6%.
Well, a lot of economists in the CBO project growth below 2% a year. The president's new budget assumes no recessions and at least 3% growth every year for a decade. If the president is off by just 1%, that alone could be a time bomb in itself.
And again, the difference between 2% and 3% GDP is literally trillions of dollars.
Conservative economists like Reagan's former budget director David Stockman have been sounding alarms on this for months.
There is no way you're going to cut the corporate tax by $2 trillion over the next 10 years and not pay for it.
And yet our debt continues to take off like a plane on a curve to the moon.
We have now created a catastrophe for fiscal 2019.
After promising to get rid of the debt in 8 years, the president now wants to spend more than we take in for years yet to come, with plans to balance the budget in 15 years. Well, based on what a lot of economists are saying and what Trump himself said in 2016, by then it could be too late.